Hi, this video is going to look at the assignments in Unit 3, Activity 3. And there's two assignments for you to complete. The first one is called Media Constructs Reality Worksheet, and it's worth 20 marks. And so in the content of this activity, we already looked at how a news story can be presented in two different ways. That two different newspapers or two different TV stations can tell you the same news event, but put a different spin on it, or a different angle, or a different bias. And so they present the same story, but with different values. And so what we're going to do in this assignment is we're going to look at two different articles on the same event. So we have article number 1, skateboarders unjustly denied place to skate, and article number 2, skateboard park closed to ensure users' safety. And so both of these articles are from a fictional, they're made up, but they're from a fictional Toronto newspaper. They're both from May 25th, 2010. So they both have the same date, they both have the same location, they're both talking about the same event, that a skateboard park has been closed. But they're going to tell two very different stories about why that skateboard park was closed. And so what you need to do is you need to read those two articles, and then you need to complete this Media Constructs Reality assignment. And I already have it open down here. And so what you're going to do is, again, you're going to read those two articles on the skateboarding park closure, and then you're going to answer these questions inside this chart. So for article number 1, you're going to fill in this column. So what word in the title influences your opinion? So you would go back and you would look at article number 1 here. What word seems opinionated and seems to make you have a strong opinion about this news story from the title? So, and you just take that word and you'd put it in here and you'd explain why that word influences your opinion. You'd do the same thing for article number 2. You take a look at article number 2. What word in the title or in the headline is opinionated or makes you have an opinion about what's going on? Just choose one word. Again, put that word in here and explain why that word changes your opinion or influences your opinion about the news story. Secondly, what does the article claim is posted on the gate of the skate park? So if you look at both articles, they will both say the message that has been posted by the authorities when they shut down the park. What does that message say in Article 1? What does that message say in Article 2? Maybe they've presented the information differently. Maybe they've presented it the same. But the idea is, how have they presented how the park has been closed inside their article? Third question, who did the reporter contact to find out the reason for the park closure? So in Article 1, who does the reporter contact? In Article 2, who does the reporter contact? Depending on who you talk to, you might get a different opinion on the news story. And so it's important to note who they talk to. Next question, what is the suggested reason for why the park was closed? So in Article number 1, what does the news reporter say is the reason why the park closed? And then in Article 2, what is the reason? I think you'll find that both articles have different reasons why the park is being closed. Next, we have what is the opinion of the youth who are interviewed about the situation? So two different teenagers are interviewed, one in Article 1 and one in Article 2, and these are their names. So just jot down what their opinion was. So you're just looking for the quotations in the article where these individuals are speaking and what was their opinion. At the ending of the article, what does it say that the youth want? So according to both articles, what do the young people that usually skate in this park, what do they want? And then lastly, how would you feel after reading this article if you were someone that used that park often? Explain. So if you read article number 1 and you go to that park all the time to go skateboarding, what would your opinion be after reading article 1? Would you be upset? Would you be happy? What would your feelings be about the park being closed? And then in Article 2, if you were someone that liked to go to that park a lot and go skateboarding, what would your opinion be or your feeling be about the park being closed after reading number 2? I think you'll find that some of these answers will be the same for both articles, and some of these answers will be different because they're telling the same story, but in a different way. Next, you have 2 final questions. Number 1 says, identify at least 2 similarities in the facts presented in both articles. Like I just said, there's going to be some things that are similar in both articles. And then number 2, can you determine the real reason why the skateboard park was closed? Explain why or why not. And this is an interesting question because this happens to us all the time. If we listen and read and watch the news, we're going to hear different interpretations of the same event. How do we know which one to believe? So I'm curious to know, after reading both of these articles, can you determine in your mind why you think that skateboard park was closed? Explain why or why not. Maybe you can. Maybe one of these 2 articles you think presents it clearly, or maybe you say, I can't. I don't know why the skateboard park was closed because both articles are giving different opinions and I'm not sure which one is right. But just explain yourself. What do you think is the real reason why the skateboard park was closed? And that's it. If you can complete these chart questions and then these 2 final questions at the bottom, you can submit your Media Constructs Reality worksheet and you're done with assignment 1. So we can close Article 1 and Article 2. And if we go down to assignment 2, it's worth 14 marks, and it's about media stereotypes. And so it's going to say, using the information you learned about media stereotypes in the content, answer the following questions in complete sentences. You can also download a copy of the questions here. And so if you want, you can just copy these questions or start your own Google Docs and answer these questions, or you can download the exact same questions like I did, and they're right here. So whichever is better for you, depending on whether you use Microsoft, you can download or just answer the questions as they are here. They're the same. There's a hint here. You will need to scan the 4 articles on media stereotypes on the content page in order to answer most of these questions. And so I'll get to that here in a minute. Okay. If we look at the 6 questions, they read, describe an example from your own life where you or someone you know was stereotyped. So I'd like you to think back on your own life. It could be something recent. It could be something from your childhood. But can you identify a time in your life or in the life of someone that you know where you or that person was stereotyped? Maybe for their gender or for their the way they look or for their economic background, or it could be for any number of reasons. But can you give me an example of stereotyping that you've witnessed in your own life? Okay. Number 2, it says, according to the visible minorities in entertainment media article, what percentage of male and female characters on Canadian television dramas are from diverse ethnic backgrounds? Well, you'll notice it mentions the name of an article here. You'll notice number 3 mentions the name of another article, Common Portrayals of Aboriginal People. Number 4, media coverage of women and women's issues. Number 5, common stereotypes of men in media. So those articles should not be unfamiliar to you because you should have already taken a look at them when you went through the content. And if we go back to the content, you'll see those articles down here under media stereotypes. So you can click on those articles again. So for example, visible minorities in entertainment media. And if we go back to the question, it says, what percentage of male and female characters on Canadian television dramas are from diverse ethnic backgrounds? Well, if you go through this article here, and you don't have to read every single word carefully, but if you go through this article here and scan it well, you'll be able to find that statistic, the statistic of female and male characters in Canadian television dramas. If you open up the next article on the common portrayals of Aboriginal people, you'll be able to, if you scan it properly, you'll be able to find 2 adjectives used to describe Aboriginals in television and movies and literature. If you go into the 3rd article, So if I go back here, media coverage of women and women's issues, you should be able to scan through that article and find the percentage of sports commentators that are men. You'll find that in sports media, almost everyone is a man. And so they'll point that out in this article about women in media. And then number 5, it asks, identify 2 of the popular stereotypes for men that are explained in common stereotypes of men in the media. Well, again, if you go back to the content and you click on the article here, you should be able to scan it. Again, not necessarily memorizing everything in the article. You should be able to scan the article and find the information you're being asked for in the question. Okay? So this is not only going to test your sort of understanding of the media and stereotypes, but also it's going to go back to something we looked at earlier this semester, scanning. And can you scan through articles and find specific pieces of information? And then lastly, number 6, it says, describe an example of media stereotyping that was not mentioned in this activity. The example could be something you saw on TV, in a movie, online, or in the news. So we've looked at, if you've gone through the content of this activity, you'll have looked at a lot of different examples of media stereotypes. But I'd like you to identify one that you have noticed that hasn't been mentioned in this activity. And I'd just like you to explain that stereotype that you have noticed. Maybe it's something that relates to you. Maybe it's something that relates to your gender or ethnicity or religion or background in some way, and you've noticed that and it's kind of bothered you in the media before. I'd like you to explain that. And that's it. That's your 6 questions. Once you've answered these 6 questions, you submit them to the Dropbox, and you're done assignment 2, and you're done the activity. If you have any questions, please let me know.